Recording, please. Thank you. Thank you, Stephen. Okay. So we're on to welcome back, everybody. Thank you for your patience. It's now 6 o'clock. We go straight into Com 9. I've got hands up. Ian Williams there. It's going to be a legacy hand now. He's not younger Mark yet, is he? Councillor Martin Williams and Com 9.
Yeah, Chair, thank you. Just a quick, two questions actually. One, is the saving highlighted in red? Apologies if I misread that. It does highlight as red. So if it is, why is it red? Also, whilst we may not have an appetite to do this, what have we done as an authority to encourage others to provide this service?
Oh, excuse me. Councillor Williams, sorry.
Councillor Williams, yeah.
I think it's red in the budget because there are people that it is achievable, but there are staff associated with this saving. There's 2 part-time staff that have been redeployed currently, and we've had an expression of interest from the town council in Bridgend to possibly run this service. I'm afraid it's a non-statutory service, and we haven't run it for a number of years now. So if we could find somebody else who could deliver it, that would be wonderful. But it's red for that reason.
Okay, thank you. You got a legacy hand up, Councillor Ian. Councillor Betso, please.
Thank you, Chair. And whilst I recognise that this is not a statutory requirement, it's another huge blow for Bridgend Town Centre. This was a very popular service that, again, going back to the ethos of the budget, supported some of the most vulnerable in our society. Those who accessed the shop mobility scheme were not those who chose to need additional help to get around, but needed to. So the ceasing of the permanent ceasing, as Janine has mentioned, we haven't done this for a while, certainly since Brackler 1 closed, and it was never as popular as it was when it was in the RU. It's still an essential service that we won't be offering anymore if these cuts go ahead. So I would like to maybe echo Councillor Martin Williams' question on any kind of way of trying to help it for the good of the town and the people that come into the town.
Janine, please.
Yes, thank you, Councillor Bletso. Yeah, of course, let's have a conversation with the town council. Let's pick that one up to see whether you are able to operate the scheme. I mean, the one thing I would say is that you can actually hire mobility scooters from the mobility shop opposite the Wilco car park currently, and I do know some providers or some users are now using that service because we've ceased our service. Thanks.
Thank you. Councillor Ian Williams, is your hand back up? Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I'd just like to concur with Councillor Bletso on the impact the shop mobility scheme will have on the disabled community within our town. And to me, it's another death knell in our town centre.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Spanswick, please. Your hand up.
Thank you, Chair. I'd just perhaps like to have some facts behind this. I'm not sure. It is, regrettable that it's been shut, but I'm not sure of the impact and the size it's been made out to be. I'm not sure whether I can't recall the figures, but the number of users when it was operating, I can't recall, but they weren't high numbers. They were low, even single figures per week.
I got a few people.
So let's be realistic about the impact. It's not such a massive impact.
Okay.
It's a small number of people for a non-statutory service, regrettable as it is.
Okay. Can I bring Councillor Gabby?
Yes, we at one stage we were having up to 6 people a day using the service, and again it was quite seasonal as well, Chair.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Gabby, please. Deputy Leader.
Thank you very much, Chair. Just to clarify those figures, on some days it was 3 people. Maximum I can see on a table is 11 currently. So it's not an enormous impact that we actually think it is. And I would like to say that anybody who has a disability to that degree, more often than not, would have their own scooter. So and they actually get money from National Westminster Government to do that.
Okay. Okay. Councillor Betts.
Yeah, Chair.
Williams got his hand up. Yeah. Sorry, Steve. Councillor Councillor Williams.
I just want to add to it's shop mobility closed, proposed closure of the bus station, no toilets. All these impact people with mobility issues, mothers with young children. It all mounts up and it all negatively impacts people coming into our town.
Okay, yeah. Councillor Bledsoe.
And thank you, Chair. And I recognise all of the figures that have been put forward as the daily users whilst it was in Bracklow 1, because people weren't happy that it was moved from the Rue. Those figures were certainly not reflective of when it was more accessible in the Rue. Okay. And it was moving it to Bracklow 1, which created that drop-off in the service. Okay. So I fully recognise the figures, but when it was in the Rue, it was a very popular service.
Last word on this now for Zach, because we can have a discussion on the figures. All right, can we? Zach, please.
Yeah, I mean, whilst, you know, it's a great service, and I remember as my mum lost her mobility, we were talking about using it, and, you know, it's sad to see it go. I would challenge the point about declining figures being down to just the move. When that facility first existed, it was a very different world with regard to mobility scooters in terms of relative costs to income and lightweighting of scooters. You know, they're a lot more popular in private ownership now than they were when that facility started. It was, you know, they were bigger, heavier. You know, they were less accessible to the masses as the modern lightweight mobility scooters that you can get now are. So I think, you know, I'm not arguing that, you know, moving it didn't have an effect. I'm just saying there's also a change in that area of transport as well.
Okay, we'll move on to COM 10, please. Review for Call Marina, and I have Councillor Jonathan Pratt has his hand up first. I have some.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Yes, I suppose maybe people don't have a lot of sympathy in a cost of living crisis for people who own yachts and boats, but it's there. We're increasing fees or potentially reviewing berth fees. What would be the views of Cabinet and officers that the level of fees in relation to what other providers can offer? Though of course, Porthcawl are happy that improvements have been made to that harbour and the marina. It is a lot better than what it used to be. If you look at other berthing offers in the area, Cardiff, Swansea, there are a lot more offers in services than what the marina in Porthcawl can offer. So my fear is that some owners will move their vessels to other marinas in the area within a commutable distance. So is that another risk or something we have to look at as a cost recovery? Thank you.
Sort of argument, aren't we, up the cost and people don't use the service. Exactly.
Yeah, I would highlight it's not just purely, unlike some of those earlier ones, it's not purely about the raise in the fees. This is, you know, it talks about operational costs. So it's a bit of both. We're trying to reduce our costs to keep the fee increase to a minimum. So we're attacking this one from both sides. So whilst there will be a review of the fees, we're also looking at the running costs, you know, staffing levels, etc., within there to make sure that it's as efficient as it can be. We have sadly lost some staff there in the past, and possibly, you know, look at potentially not replacing. So it's a combination, trying to keep the costs down and pushing fees up to a reasonable level. But I agree, you know, if we got too expensive, we could risk losing people.
I'm going to bring Councillor Clark in next. She indicated she would speak on this matter, and she's a Porthcawl councillor, so I think only fair to bring her in at this point. Nora, please.
Sorry, Martin. Basically, I just wanted to ask when the review will take place, and will this then be from April this year? And have we any idea at what the increase will be, basically? Yeah. And the £32,000 reduction, is that relative to what we're looking to save or to increase, sorry, the fees by?
Janine, please. Thanks, Nora. Janine, please.
Yeah, thank you, Councillor Clark. We are looking to operate that increased fee charge from the 1st of April. So it will, because it's an annual fee, that'll come in. And the 32,000 saving that we're offering up is a culmination, as Zach has said, of improvements in running costs and a fee income increase. We will have to get you the breakdown of that separately and send that through to you, what it will mean, because I think it's based on length of boat, etc. You're charged per foot, etc. So people will pay different fees depending on the type of boat that they have in the marina. So, but it's to be fair, the facilities have massively increased and improved since we've done the Cozy Corner redevelopment. And we're always looking to improve things down there. And I think the level of fees that we're charging are in line with marinas similar to ours. Of course, they won't be as high as marinas that have more facilities, but they do seem fair for what we are offering.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Martin Williams, please.
Thank you, Chair. I don't want to be the one accused of trying to fleece the owners of boats, but is this not one area of discretionary service where perhaps we should be looking at making a modest profit, and what that would mean in terms of benefit, or actually it would just cause irritation for for a minor increase in revenue? But surely there are some services that it's reasonable for the authority to make a modest margin on.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you, Councillor Williams. We will bear that other in mind, absolutely. We'll have a look at these level of fees. We'll have a look at the demand in the area. Maybe in future years we can look at what the art of the possible is there. I mean, one of the things that we have concentrated on is ensuring that we've got a really robust, good, reliable service there. I think that's really important. And then also the new facilities at Cozy Corner, we have had a lot of people interested in that. So, but yeah, absolutely. Let's take that away for future years. Thank you.
Thank you, Janine. Councillor Bledsoe, please.
Thank you, Chair. And one point of clarity before I ask my question, just purely because of the wording. It states here this is to enable full cost recovery. Does this mean that we're going to now be getting full cost recovery, or have we been doing so? Have we had full cost recovery in the past? Have we been subsidising the service in the past?
Yes, thank you, Councillor. It is to get to a point of full cost recovery now. Yeah.
Well, on that basis then, and at risk of being accused by Councillor Pratt of not having any sympathy for those with yachts, why has this budget saving not been accepted by this authority in the past? Why have we been subsidising yacht owners to berth at Porthcawl Harbour that has possibly led us to having no money now? In part, not fully. I realise what I said may have been taken out of context. However, I'm uncomfortable in the fact that for years we've been subsidising yacht owners in Porthcawl Marina, and now we're looking to finally make it wash its face.
No, I'm not sure it's quite as simple as that, Councillor Bledsoe, because it's the full range of operational services, not just the marina fees. So we're putting the marina fees up. There's a whole range of operations that undertake down there, and I don't think there would be no acquisition of we're subsidising. But what we are at a position of now is full cost recovery now. Thank you.
Okay. Oh, I got Councillor Martin Williams. Is that a legacy, Martin, or are you going to come back in?
Legacy and Chair.
Okay, thank you. It's Mark. I got Mark. Chief Exec, please.
Yeah, just to add to what Janine said, so I think it's a fair question by Councillor Bledsoe. I think the point more is until the enhanced facilities were developed this year, we wouldn't have been able to have charged more for the marinas, or certainly people wouldn't have paid because there were no facilities. So I think the opportunity is now there to reach full cost recovery, and of course that's what we're doing straight away. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you for that clarification. Councillor Bledsoe, is that?
No, it's just to say, Chair, Councillor Williams' computer is rebooting and he has a question on the next one, so I'm putting my hand up for him.
Okay. Yeah. So we're going to move on to COM 11. And I've got Ian Williams down as a questioner. Do you want to ask a question, Ian?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. This is regarding the cessation of Parks and Playing Funds Fields Development Fund. Years ago, I think it's 3 years ago, this authority appointed consultants to come up with a solution for the 3 major parks in the county borough. That report was finalised by the consultants well over a year ago and should have been presented to Cabinet a year last November. It still hasn't come before the Cabinet. Why is that? The company was called Just Solutions, and there were some quite controversial suggestions or ideas in there, which one of them was to enlarge the car park at the bottom of Bourne Avenue to mitigate the parking problems in Bourne Avenue and the bottom end of Merthyr Road.
Okay, I'm going to bring in Councillor Spanzik, who's indicated he wants to answer. Ian. John?
Thank you, Chair. Only briefly say there's nothing to do with this COM11, but I will comment on that report wasn't ready for Cabinet a year ago. It has gone in a very draft form to the CAT steering group, and I push in for it to come to Cabinet as soon as possible. But officers have been discussing behind the scenes the various elements of the report, because there's lots of stuff in there. It is quite an old report now, written in a different time when money perhaps was it wasn't never been easy, but there's lots of aspirations within there about capital money and this now, which are pie in the sky, to be honest. But the report was done at the time, is on 3 sites: Maesteg, Bridgend, Newsfields and Plankin at the Royal. And that report does need to be progressed and brought to Cabinet soon, but how much of it is achievable in these days is another matter. But there's some good stuff in there, but there's also some not very realistic stuff in there, but it needs progressing. But it's nothing to do with this item. It's one for another day, Chair.
Okay, we move on. Councillor Philip Jenkins, please. We're on COM 10, Phil. Sorry, COM 11, Phil. That makes any difference to you?
Yeah, hang on, I'm trying to get this camera there. Thank you, Chair. Yeah. I see that obviously from the report there that it's 100% removal of this grant that was paid out initially for a 2-year period. Was it £37,500 per year? But surely, has anybody evaluated the impact it possibly could have? Because I would have thought this comes under Health and Wellbeing Act, etc. as well, and the importance of enjoying oneself leisurely and during playing sports from a lot of volunteer groups that try to enhance the lifestyle of our younger element and that of the elderly within our parks, etc., and playing fields, obviously. I would have thought that it is important for both mental and physical well-being that we support, where possible, these kind of groups, But so I wondered if has anybody done either the audit or anything to find how it would impact upon them. Although it's not a huge sum of money, obviously not, but it's obviously been of value. So.
Okay, thank you, Phil. Thank you for that. Zach, please.
Yeah. Just to clarify, really, where this was used. The fund had been developed and it was being developed and it kind of got changed in what it was initially being talked about in relation to assistance with the CAP process, but it then kind of got radically changed at the last minute because of COVID. So what it really turned into was a fund to assist those clubs come out of the COVID period. They'd lost their subscriptions. The clubs were very negatively affected by the COVID period. And it was a very useful tool at the time to assist the clubs in getting past that COVID period, which we now have. So pulling it back, yes, would it be nice to keep it? Yes, of course it would. Would it bring benefit to those clubs and to the health and well-being impacts? Of course it would. But we're going back to no worse than we were before COVID hit and those clubs didn't have this money.
Yeah, okay. Councillor Clark, please.
Could I just thank the officer for that?
Yeah, there's no need, Phil. Yeah, thank you, Phil. Nora, please.
Thank you, Chair. I think because of that explanation from Zach just then, I haven't got a question. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I've just been prompted to say we do need to get a move on here, guys, don't we? It's 25 past 6 now, 20 past 6. So we're going to sort of rattle through these, I think, or we're never going to get anywhere near the end here. We're on, I got nobody for 12. Anybody got anything for 12, quickly? Com 13, Ian Williams, please.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. The authority put great onus on the climate emergency programme. We're now going to have to remodel it. What sort of remodelling are we going to have to look at? Will there be cuts to the climate control group within BCBC? Will there be cuts to staff?
Are you talking about the 2030, aim of 2030 for Ian? Is that what you mean?
2030.
Yeah. The aspiration of getting to carbon neutral by.
Yeah, net carbon zero.
Carbon zero. Sorry, by yeah.
Yeah, I think if I may, Chair, that he's referring to the climate emergency programme, and we will have to remodel that. I mean, the difficulty is we had to get to £2.9 million of savings in the Communities Directorate, and of course we've got an awful lot of statutory provision that we can't take savings from. So what we have done is reduced the budget available. This is a non-staff cut. We're going to look at reducing the monies that we have available in order to achieve our target of net 30. Of course, we've still got that ambition, so as Welsh Government, but I think it's acknowledged it's just going to take a lot longer than we would have wanted ordinarily to take. I mean, we have seen UK Government push back on the removal of diesel and petrol cars. That was meant to be coming through sooner. They pushed that target back. It's very clear we still all have an ambition to be net zero, but under the challenging circumstances we have had to offer up over 50% of this budget in order to meet that savings target. So we will still have a plan. It'll just take us a little longer than we otherwise would have intended.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Martin Williams, please.
Thank you, Chair. I'm building on that, and listening back to earlier, this time last year actually, 2030, and updates on our aspirations for 2030. Excuse me, got something in my eye. Very much that climate change and our climate change response should be business as usual. Now, with that in mind, is it time to revisit the climate change response department in its entirety as a separate entity? And should these things not be led by the various elements of the business? So, for example, we have emails about tree planting and balsam bashing. Would that not be better held within green spaces or parks? A big part of our carbon emissions is fleet. So why aren't our fleet services looking at that and ULEV vehicles? Clearly, corporate landlord have a place to play with solar and energy efficiency, and of course we referenced an energy manager earlier who could look at those sorts of things. So, is there an opportunity now to take the good work that they've done, but perhaps take it away from being a separate department and pull it back into business as usual, so we can be more effective and potentially do it more efficiently as well?
Janine, please.
Yeah. Councillor Williams, that is how it is delivered. We have a small cohort of staff who work corporately across all departments. So, for instance, the climate emergency team work with Kevin Mulcahy and his team on the ULEV transition, fleet transition. They work with corporate landlord on work for energy efficiency for buildings. They work with Ian and his team on biodiversity and tree planting. That is exactly how they work. They work in that way. Those handful of staff there coordinate our central response, and a lot of it, I have to admit, there's an awful lot of bureaucracy surrounding this, and I'm going to use that word with Welsh Government and reporting on carbon targets. They do a lot of that, but the other thing they do is they work corporately. They are, whilst they sit within the Communities Directorate, this is a corporate strategy and a corporate initiative, and they work in that way. So just to be assured that is already going ahead. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Okay, no more. Oh, Zach, please.
Yeah, I'd just add one point. For me, the risk, if you put those functions back out to the core service areas, is the risk of loss of grant opportunity. When you've got a team that's working together on it, they're also working on maximising grant opportunities out there. Whilst our internal funding is dropping, they have been successful, at getting money from outside. The risk is if you put a bit in parks, a bit in fleet, and just make it the responsibility of the core teams. Those core teams are so stretched, concentrating on the day job, they won't be looking for the grant opportunities by the nature of the pressures they're under, and we'll lose out as an authority. So that's my personal take on that.
Thank you. Cool. Martin,
thank you, Chair. Can I just come back? Sorry, I know I'm mindful of time. If that's the case, and it's a good point that I hadn't considered, would it be possible to provide this committee with a cost-benefit analysis for them and perhaps other departments of a similar nature? So we could say, well, this is the cost of the team, and this is the grant revenue that they've brought in this year or since inception. That would be really good to tackle the naysayers.
Can we?
Yeah, we can of course provide you with information on the grants that have come in, Councillor Williams. That's not a problem. Just off the top of our head, we've had over 800,000 of ULEV grants come into the authority, so that's paid for the team twice over, just in one grant. But there are a significant number of grants that we get in via that team into the authority. Yeah, that's not a problem. We can give you a list of those.
Okay, we move on then. Com 14. Councillor Bledsoe.
Thank you, Chair. And to try and save us on time, I don't know if it's possible to link this with Com 28, which is quite closely related in the fact that it's our estate that we're talking about. I've heard for many years, many years, that we're looking for a tenant for Ravenscourt. Yet still it's a drain on the authority in relation to costs. What is any update at all in relation to turning that asset into something that could perhaps generate revenue for the authority? Because this has just been ongoing for so long. Could it even be turned into something for homeless provision? Is there something that we could look at this property so it doesn't remain a drain on our resources, but actually turns into something that would help?
Yeah.
Thanks, Chair. Well, first of all, we have taken opportunities and we have generated income. Currently generate income from partners that are based at Ravenscourt at the multi-agency safeguarding hub. So there is a rental fee from that from South Wales Police and other partners. And of course, certainly in recent years, we also had a rental income as well from Cwmtaf Morgannwg University Health Board for the use of Ravenscourt as a vaccination centre during the pandemic. We are limited in terms of options going forward for that site because of flood risk. So it does mean that some of the options like residential, which we have considered, we have looked at that, are not possible because of the position of Ravens Court. But we will continue to explore opportunities. And I know the Chief Executive has met recently and is about to meet with a developer that is interested in an alternative use for Ravens Court. And also we continue to explore, as it's a related point, we continue to explore a greater use of this building as well. Colleagues will know from previous reports that we are looking forward to a presence here from South Wales Police. They will be basing their neighbourhood policing team for the town centre here in the civic offices. Not only is that good for the town centre, having the neighbourhood policing team based here, but will also generate income for this authority because they will be paying a rental income. And we're also exploring other opportunities with other public sector partners to see if they can locate in the civic offices and generate additional income for us. Thank you for that, Chair.
Martin Williams, you'll come back in quickly.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Steve, Councillor Vallette, so that did mention emergency housing provision in Ravenscourt. It did seem to be appropriate for me, given our enormous budget pressure in that area. I'm surprised that it is a flood risk there, but seemingly Sunnyside development can continue, which is not a flood risk, but that's for another day. The question I have is, in relation, in light of the new hybrid working policy, have we fully modelled our office requirements, in light of working from home, and what our actual demand is? And could it be the case that actually we don't need a Ravenscourt, and we may not need all of Angel Street either? And when times get hard, we need to look at some radical things. I'm not sure who's in the chamber today. I come in, but can we justify a chamber of that size when we're working hybrid? Have we really thought the unthinkable during these unprecedented times? Okay, Councillor Rees-Good, you were indicated. Would you respond?
Yeah, Chair, I just wanted to come back on Councillor Williams' point around Sunnyside. So the planning on that had to be changed, in fact, to make sure that it was viable, and therefore units are raised above the flooding table, I believe. I won't go into immense detail on that because I am not a planner, but we have looked extensively at what could be done at Ravenscourt. Councillor Williams will be aware that I never miss an opportunity to look for building more houses or getting more accommodation, and if wishing made it so, I mean, it's the same case with other areas in that area. We've been approached previously by the Bridgend Ravens about potential housing on those properties as well, and unfortunately that's not viable either. So that is something we do look at and continue to look at, and I think it is worth saying, while I've got the floor, that we have looked at many different options in terms of the civic building, Ravenscourt, the entire corporate estate, in terms of what we can do and what radical things are possible, but I certainly hope that we will go further with that, and I think there probably is more that can be done, and I'd welcome Councillor Williams' input in that.
Thank you. Councillor, sorry, Janine, please.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Just to add to what Councillor Good has said, we've had a future service delivery board that's been in operation for the last couple of years, chaired by the Chief Exec, and we've looked at all options, literally all options that are available. And what is very clear is at this stage, what we want to do is to max out the use of the civic offices, get as many people in here working as we can, looking at partners such as the MASH, looking at South Wales Police and others, so that we can maximise the use of this building and then close down, mothball the rest of the estate. And there are some quite good savings predicated on closing Ravenscourt out. Ideally, we'd like to rent it out as well, or possibly even look to sell in the future. But just by not occupying it, there are some significant savings to be made. And the same for the Innovation Centre. So that's the plan. And to be fair, Councillor Williams, we've looked at a significant number of variables. Which building would best suit our purpose? Which one was the best in terms of maintenance in the future? Cost benefit analysis. And this is where we've landed in terms of the authority. Who knows, in future years we may not need this building, but as it currently stands, our plan is to rationalise everything around and concentrate the functions in one place.
Okay, thank
you.
Thank you. We're going to move on to COM 16. Councillor Williams, please. Oh, sorry, 15, yes, Stephen Bledsoe first, sorry, yeah.
Thank you, Chair, and I hope this could be brief. I note the removal from spraying from 3 times to 2. Could we have some assurances that they would be done at the 2 most opportune times in the year, rather than start and end, but the 2 most beneficial times? Because I think that's actually a cut that we could bear if they're done at the right times.
Yes, absolutely. That's the idea, that we get them in the growing season, hopefully. Yeah.
Okay. Ian, is your hand up for this point or something else?
It's up for 16. I put it up because
Councillor Jenkins, I can bring
preempted you.
Yeah, bear with me. I'm going to bring Councillor Jenkins in a second. Councillor Jenkins?
Yes, thank you very much, Chair. Just briefly then on the basis of that, these are the type of things, mind, that are, how can I say, not high priority, obviously concerned with education, social services, but I'm just wondering that, as in the past, would BCBC consider sort of entering into town and community council agreements where possible, and where those town and community councils may want to enter into them? Would they possibly be in favour, so that we can maintain at least 3 weed, because some areas have more overgrowth than others, and in more prominent areas. I'm just I wonder if our communities directors would consider that kind of partnership.
Okay. Zach?
Yeah, the issue with this one, this isn't actually our staff that undertake the weed spraying because it's so sporadic and spaced out. So we just contract the work. But what we would definitely welcome and support if advice was needed, in terms of how to go about it. If a town community council wanted to contract an extra weed spray in their area, then we'd be
work with the authority to
yeah,
sort of
absolutely.
organise it.
But it's not like, our staff can now, we haven't got any staff actually doing this.
We could advise them on sort of the content you use and how maybe. Okay. Okay, Phil.
Yes, but just on that basis, then there's no consideration of taking that type of service back in house.
No, it's because
it's not continuous enough. They're not continuously employed, so it's not worthwhile, not economically viable.
Okay.
Thank you. That will be fine then. Okay.
Thank you, Phil. We've got Nora Clark, please, Councillor Clark.
Thank you, Chair. I was just wondering what sort of schedule or plan there is with weed spraying, because I know around in my area there's huge rafts that haven't actually been sprayed for years on pavements. So I wonder whether perhaps Zach can explain. Do they do all pavements? Do they only do some pavements in areas? And do they do all areas?
Probably in order to move on, I'd say we can send out the schedule.
Yeah, so I think that would be wise, yeah. Thanks, Nora. You send the schedule out.
That'd be great, thank you.
All right, thank you. Councillor, where are we now? So we're on 16, guys. We're halfway through and we've got about 10 minutes left. So, Councillor Spanzik was to come in.
Very briefly, I think when it comes to weed spraying, we need to review exactly what we are doing. I'm not sure we're getting value from the weed spraying that takes place. On occasion, I've seen weed spraying in the wind when there's more chemical growth in the wind and shouldn't be spraying. I think because really, ideally, I'd like us not to be spraying at all. I'm doing cultural methods, but that takes staff and resources which we haven't got.
Okay.
Weed spraying as well is not the answer. When we kill weeds, and we can't remove the dead weeds, and they build up into a compost, and the gut doesn't produce more seed, more compost bed for more seeds. So it's not the answer. We need to look at it and review it, perhaps.
Okay, I take it Councillor Jenkins' account, Janine's hands are legacy, are they? Was your hand up, Janine? Yeah. Okay. Okay, Com 17, Councillor Pratt.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, just a quick one from me. Disappointing that we'd remove sponsorship, but my mind goes back to the Senior Open in Porthcawl, where our costs for that event was used as sponsorship. Is that still to be a plan for the local authority, or are we just removing sponsorship for major events in its entirety? Thank you, Chair.
Yeah, thank you, Councillor Pratt. I think the decision we've made is to not sponsor any event moving forward. It isn't just golfing, it's Run for Wales and Elvis festivals, etc. We're not in a position now moving forward where we can subsidise these external organisations and events, regardless of the economic benefit, I should say, because where we have done deals previously, rights agreements, we've had quite a lot of benefit from them, but I'm afraid we're just not in that place anymore. So moving forward, there is no fund to sponsor any event.
Thank you. Councillor Ian Williams, please.
Yeah, it's back to Com 16, Chair.
Oh, yes, you are.
Yeah. which is removal of additional budget for play equipment maintenance. It says we will need to maintain play areas within existing budgets and increased reliance on refurbishment programme. Firstly, is it safe to cut the maintenance on playgrounds? Surely there's a statutory requirement where we have to maintain them to a certain standard on a regular basis. And the other one is the reliance on refurbishment programme. The administration said that we would spend £1 million a year for 5 years, refurbishing 107 playgrounds. We're just about coming up for 2 years in now, which would mean we should be sort of having spent about £2 million and refurbished approximately 43 playgrounds. How's that going?
Councillor Span, Janine, you've got your Councillor Span's got his hand up. Do you want to come in, John?
Thank you, Chair. Yeah. First, on the removal of the additional budget for play. It's not removal of the budget for play equipment. There's still a budget for maintenance of play areas. So this is removal of additional budget that was put in before we had the commitment and the manifesto commitment this Labour administration had made to refurbish our play areas, which we are doing. And Councillor Williams, there is a delay, but tenders are, as we speak, being awarded this week for the second batch. And once that's gone through the award process and the standstill process, it'll be announced. And I hope you'll welcome the next 21 players that are going to be done. I think it's probably close to 1.5 million. When it adds to the first phase, we're not far off the 2 million expenditure. And then we'll start the next batch of 20, which we're arranging probably from March to meet with ward members again, to go through the consultation process with ward members and hopefully with children as well. So I hope you welcome the investment we are making. It's on track and it's going ahead.
Chair, could I just ask how many playgrounds to date have been refurbished?
20.
There was 9 done the first year. That started before the new administration started in 2022 elections, and there's 21 about to be awarded. I think it's 21 and 22, I'm not exact, but it'll be close on 30 will be achieved by, well, from this financial year's commitment.
Okay. Okay. Janine, you come in, or you?
Yeah, yes, that'll be right. We're nearly a third of the way through the programme. Yeah.
Okay, that funding is still in place.
What actually completed, Janine?
So 9 to be completed, and the rest are
9
tendered for now. I think what we said was 21.
9 are completed. Actually, I thought it was nearer 20, but I need to check that. We've completed, and there's another batch of 20 coming out.
Right. Okay.
So yeah, it's progressing well. I think you have seen some of the comms on that, Councillor Williams. Yeah.
Okay. Right. People, it's 6:45 here now. I don't know what time we've got to be out of this building. I'm not quite sure if are we entitled to stay here? Who? Leader? What's the situation with?
Well, we're staying here, aren't we? So yes, we are. We can stay. Yes,
we're okay to stay.
But,
I'm trying to rattle through them now because
there is a limit, obviously, because of the multi-storey car park.
Well,
but also we would need to complete the meeting within a reasonable time scale because the building is staffed.
What's going on? Okay, we're Ian's our legacy hand, yeah, and Janine's is our legacy hand, yeah. So we can move on to the next one. Okay, Com 18. Councillor Pratt, you know what I'm going to indicate on the book?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Just a question whether Porthcawl regeneration will be affected by this cut or any other regeneration projects within the local authority. Thank you, Chair.
Janine?
Well, the short answer of that is yes, I'm afraid. We are going to have, there's 2 pots of money here. One is the Strategic Regeneration Fund, and the second pot of money is the Porthcawl regeneration. And the 2 pots together come to 560,000, and we've had to offer up 300,000. So it will impact some of the work that we can do in terms of funding things like parking studies, feasibilities. It'll just take us a bit longer, Chair, than we would have done otherwise. We're continuing, of course, with all these initiatives, but unfortunately we've had to offer this up as a saving because we had a target. It's not something we want to do, I'm afraid, Councillor Pratt, but it'll just mean things will take a bit longer. Thank you.
Okay. Councillor Jenkins?
Yes, thank you. Well, I was looking with interest, obviously, on this, and I'm just wondering what, if any, at all, sort of audit or system has been devised so they can see the value of a town centre manager. Now that it's said on the last sentence there, no town centre management activities funded in the future, etc. So going a bit further, would one say that we have had value from a town centre manager, and going forward, would it be worth having a town centre manager, given all the other type of grants and everything that are available to bring in empty shops into use and to offer office space, money for refurbishment and for dwellings, etc. I'm just wondering, is there a necessity? I don't like to see anybody being made redundant, but at the end of the day, we have to protect the public, and there's a town centre manager and all its ancillary staff, if there is any, and office stuff. Is it necessary to have one?
Yeah, Janine's waiting to answer, Phil, right? She got the response, right?
Yeah,
Janine?
thank you, Councillor Jenkins. We have one town centre manager that manages 4 areas, Porthcawl, Maesteg, Bridgend and Pencoed. I don't think we could do without him currently, and this is not what this proposal is. He does an awful lot of operational work, liaison. What this is unfortunately going to do is to prevent us from funding activities in the town centre in the future. We definitely need a town centre management for day-to-day operational activities in those 4 main bases. So that isn't a suggestion, but what we will be doing by reducing this amount of money is reducing the amount of activities that we can fund going forward, including things like summer fairs and helping to sponsor events. We won't be able to do that anymore, but there is no question you will need town centre management, and we only have 1 post covering 4 town centres now. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Janine. Councillor Williams, please. Ian.
Can I come back on that a moment, just a second?
Hey, Phil, because we go on.
Yeah, right. Oh, basically, I wonder when the director has have time and that she could send to probably town clerks, etc., to give the full breakdown of his remit, and his duties, etc.
Yeah, we can do that. Continue, can we?
Yeah, of course, yeah. You should be well aware of that, though, Councillor Jenkins, but I will send them to you, of course. Yeah, of course.
Okay, no problem. Thank you. Yeah, Phil. Councillor Williams, please.
Thank you, Chair. Just for clarity, Janine, so you're removing the whole of the budget for town centre activities. Does that mean that the Christmas light switch on, which was a massive success in Bridgend Town Centre December 23, will not be sponsored in any way now by BCBC?
Let's see if they say it.
I think, Councillor Williams, we need to look at the specifics of this. I can't say which will or will not, but where we are, we're faced with having to save 2.9 million from communities. So I'm afraid there's going to be issues here, and we have to reduce the amount of activities that we can take part in. So there's a 300,000 cut there, and the team, Deleth and Yayan, will be going through those budget lines of what they can and can't afford going forward. So I'm not able to give you that. Whether they can sponsor that event anymore going forward, I'm not sure I can give you the answer on that now, but this is something we will work through the detail of.
Okay, thank you. Com 19, Councillor Pratt.
I don't need to ask it. It's been asked. Thank you, Chair.
Councillor Williams, Com 19. Councillor Bledsoe.
Thank you, Chair. In relation to COM 19, it is kind of linked to COM 8 as well, in relation to the fact that when we had the conversations around the bus station, reference was made to the master plan of the authority in relation to the interchange that's been proposed to serve the college from the rear of the train station. Point 4 of this saving states that with this cut, that can't go ahead. Am I reading that correctly?
May I come in, Chair?
Yes, come in. Yes.
Yeah, thank you. I think what this is, we have to reduce the size of that team in order to offer up a saving. We have actually had some resignations in that team, which, dare I say, makes it slightly easier because now we've got vacant posts. Otherwise, we would have to have gone through a terrible process where we would have to have selected somebody for redundancy. What it will mean is it'll just mean things will take much longer. And that's the same as everything. We still have aspirations to develop and to deliver a master plan for the valleys, to do commercial property enhancement grants, to do the work with regarding the central train station. We absolutely have those aspirations, but it's a very small team anyway. It's only a team of 5, but now they're a team of 4 going forward. So it'll take much longer to do the work.
Okay,
thank you. I just want to be really clear, because it concentrates the mind on when we're discussing closing the bus station and relation to what the viable alternatives could be, because master plans are 10 years in their entirety, with 4 years in now. So if there's a reality that we don't have the staff to deliver this project, I think that we as members need to be mindful of that. But it's unlikely that we can deliver it given the cuts that we're going to have to make.
Okay. So we've got to come 20, Councillor Bledsoe, so you can ask that your next. Yeah.
Thank you, Chair. And I don't claim to know everything about this, but possibly as a declaration of interest, I'm also a community councillor on Coisy Higher Council as well.
Right.
And that council has had representation from the public that these tick-pack posts are already being removed. They asked a question as to why they were being removed.
I have a query on that as well, like the one outside care of the Velvet Trust has disappeared.
It's just a question, is this already happening before the budget? Because I hadn't even heard of them until last Monday. I don't know what they are, but it's just...
Shall I come in here, Chair?
You haven't lived, Councillor Bledsoe.
Absolutely. It's a very simple explanation. Only 5,000 of this saving is Tix Packs, and we had a deal with Tix Pack at one point where they would come in, bring the posts, and they would fill them with the dog waste bags for us. That agreement is over now, and I'm afraid we can't afford to put the dog waste bags in those posts. So those posts are sitting there empty, so we are removing them. But that isn't really, I think that's probably a red herring as part of this saving. The majority of this saving is reducing the number of staff in the street cleansing team to undertake street cleaning. Right. It'll be 3 staff in total and a vehicle in order to make that saving. The Tix Pack piece is that we can't fill the posts with bags. We can't afford to do it. Yeah. So plus there's a duty for you if you do have a dog. You go out walk in to carry a bag yourself.
I can confirm that's underway, because the one outside the trust in Cairo has disappeared. I was phoned and asked where it was. And,
yeah, well, they've been empty for some time now, Council, so it made no sense.
But we have brought something to my attention there, Janine. The 125 saving for the cleansing crew. Now, like I said, these are the people that were out. It's only probably last night, weren't they? Helping keep the trees off the roads and and all the emergency work that we do. That's the sort of work that, well, these sort of ground workers, aren't they? Anyway, I made a comment in BREP where I said, and I stand by it, it was backed up by Royal Councillor Ross Thomas. If we get this fictional 3.5 million, they're talking about getting back, and they were talking in BREP about, do we use it to offset council tax reductions, or would use it for this? I said if we do get that money, that's one that I personally, being a communities man, would like to see stopped. And I'm intending to make a recommendation to that effect in this meeting, because I think that's to me it's 3 people and they do it's essential job. I know there's many other cuts you could say the same about, but that's for me. That's my
absolutely. Well, I wouldn't disagree with you, to be honest, Chair. These are street cleaning team.
Yeah.
They wouldn't be the people you referred to who remove the branches and the roads. That's the highways team.
Yeah, we don't use them. They don't cross-ref.
These are street. No, the highway team would be the ones who cut up trees and remove them. But these are street cleansing operatives, and they do a fantastic job. Yeah. And we used to have a much bigger team, over 80, and we're down to 40. And this proposal is to reduce it by a further 3. Yeah. So it will mean we'll be less resilient if it went ahead. It would mean we'd be less responsive. So if we didn't make this saving, that would be something that would be music to myself and Zach's ears. But I will leave that to your recommendation, Chair.
Okay, thank you. Let's just bring that up. Thank you. Councillor Martin Williams. Okay, I got Councillor Spang to wait to come in. You come in, John? No, go on, Martin. He says he's okay. Go on.
Well, it's a very quick one, and it's something I think Councillor Spanzik will hopefully agree with. I mean, you heard, I was in Council Cabinet next week. Apologies for the background noise. That we were insourcing grass cutting again. There's not an opportunity whilst we do that insourcing to create more multi-skilled teams or multi-skilled resources. So yeah, we don't see things in terms of street cleaning or grass cutting or even tree cutting. It's broader, more multi-skilled teams. So it's not so polarized as to what we cut. We could have some areas where, you know, for whatever reason, there's more attention because they're perhaps gateway areas into the borough, or we have other areas perhaps of less attention. But it's seen in those terms rather than purely by discipline. That's my question, really. Have we considered that?
Well, I should bring Councillor Spanzik in, and he can tell us if he agrees or not. Councillor Spanzik?
I've got to be careful because it'll be the second. I agreed with Councillor
Agreed,
Betts.
yes,
I
the
do agree with
precedent
Councillor
said.
Martin Williams as well. We do need to look. I mean, the director, Jeannie, have said about looking at the future business operating model, and we do look at all options. I think there's various areas where we can work.
I got to say,
better
I was quite surprised you said they didn't, you know, they never the twain shall meet unless they, but I thought, you know, that these crews would be interchangeable. Sorry.
I think everything needs to be looked at where there can be crossover. That doesn't work in all places. The bit I was going to say is about the Tix pack posts. I mean, never sure if that was a great scheme because you try and they get emptied in one day, people take them, but there's still opportunities, I would have thought, for town and community councils to take on board doing the similar, where there's Tix pack or Bracknell Community Council give out free dog bags from the base.
Well, we do that up in my
so
sure
still similar. I always make sure that people got dog bags. There's no excuse for not picking up a litter. Yeah. What I would say, I mean, I don't welcome any of these cuts, but this is one of the least ones I welcome because, as Jean said, this team, or litter picking team, to do the street cleansing, have gone from 80 to 40, half over the years, and there's been disproportionate cuts in Communities Directorate, and this is one area. Again, if we cut it again, we'll be quick as members. We shout in the morning about litter on the streets, so we need to be really careful about this one when it comes to the final recommendations, Chair.
Zach, please.
Yeah, just a couple of points. Firstly, on the multi-skilling, you know, not dismissive of it, and it is something we can look at as we continue to shrink going forward. However, one of the first things I did when I came into a role as head of service here was look at a couple of similar teams. There wasn't this one, but very similar base teams, and thought, I could get some more efficiencies out of multi-skilling the teams and you know, slightly shrinking as a result. And then when we went through the JE process, the cost of multi-skilling the team increased their grade so much that it far outweighed the efficiency gain. So it, you know, doesn't always work, you know, but, you know, it's a fair point. In terms of the comments about, you know, this being the item to save, you know, obviously I would welcome that as well. I do think this is one of the ones that will hurt. One of the lines in there that's one of the most important ones is in the middle of it. It says, third line down in the middle, the team covers sickness and leave. Yeah, that is really important. So yes, the job that they do is important and it makes us responsive and it's great. But when the team that empties the litter bin in your street has a member of staff on sick and they're not going to get there, the reason they do get there at the moment is this team will be dropped and they'll drop in to get those bins emptied. Without them, those bins will be overflowing. So I'd fully support and be as hugely appreciative as everyone.
But my comment was predicated on the
so.
fact we get this extra money in. But I don't know if that's going to affect the budget. I don't know. But I think Janine.
I mean, the one thing obviously I have to say, Chair, is if we have got a weighing scales, haven't we? If we take this out, we will have to put something else in to replace it. So,
well, they told us in BREP that there's money. We're waiting for money. This money has been held by Welsh Government. It's 3.5 to 4 million. It was a quote. Well, and they were talking about what we're going to do with this money. And I said, well, there's one thing to do with money is stop doing that. And that was, nobody argued with me. Nobody didn't say that couldn't be done. And the other council supported it. Is that being able to done or not? I don't know.
Well, that's something I'll have to defer to Carys to answer.
If we don't get the money, I'm not saying we can't do it, because as you say, you'd have to replace it from somewhere else. But I didn't say that. That's correct. Was you in the meeting, John? No? No. Okay. Okay, move on anyway. Councillor Jenkins.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Again, my question is obviously directed to the Community Director there. You know, this is a sensitive kind of a debate or issue, isn't it, at the moment? And we've seen the cuts, so obviously we know how they operate, etc. But what I find rather strange, and so do probably people like Keep Wales Tidy and various other organisations, is that on the numerous occasions that our town council have requested to put extra bins out, and they are on, the majority of these being on street cleaning schedules, etc., and bin emptying schedules. BCBC have been welcoming to put them out, buy them on our behalf. We pay for them. They will erect them, but they refuse to empty them. Now, this flies in the face of everything. We're trying to keep our communities fairly clean by encouraging people to put their rubbish and waste in more bins, and being that, you know, the specific boxes and all that won't be there for dog fouling. I think it's an issue. Could the director give us an undertaking that should town and community councils wish to put bins out, extra bins to ease the situation of rubbish flying around everywhere and just being discarded, would they be emptied?
Anybody?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm afraid the answer to that, Councillor Jenkins, is no, because more bins means more cost to us as an authority to empty them. However, what we will do, and what we have been doing over the years, is looking at bins, because some bins are in places that are not utilised as good as other bins. So what we have looked is at moving around the location of the bins, but I'm afraid it's just not possible to keep increasing the number of bins out there. And I think you can understand why, because that means more collection and it just adds to the cost. So what we can do is look at the bins you have and make sure they're in the right place. But I'm afraid the answer to that one is no, I cannot empty more bins going forward.
Okay, that's the answer then. Okay, thank you.
No, could I just come back, ask
Phil, you've answered the question, Phil, so you can't keep coming back all the time. You know, allow it.
Excuse me, Chair, everything is relative. It depends on what the answers are. Therefore, could I suggest, I need to ask the director a question, if you don't mind, Chair. Should town and community councils that have community maintenance officers extra prepared to empty these bins and collect them, would they be allowed to take them to the local refuse sites?
I'm afraid that's a no as well, Councillor Jenkins.
There we are.
Thank you.
Mary Evans, please.
Sorry, thank you, Chair. Thank you, Chair. Obviously, I've been listening to this debate with interest. And actually, I just want to understand, has there been any task undertaken into how many people are required to ensure street cleansing is effective and efficient? As listening, I've heard that it was cut in half. There were 80 people, but now there's 40. And yet we're looking at cutting it by another 3. So how many people do we need to deliver this task in this borough efficiently and effectively, please?
Jack, please.
Right, so when we moved from the sort of 80 odd down to the sort of mid 40s, effectively there was a major change to the structure of how the undertaking occurs. Used to have what was called a linesman approach, where people with dedicated streets that would clean their areas, and we went to an area team-based approach, which was more effective. But don't get me wrong, we're not as good at picking up litter. We're much more effective in terms of kilograms per person collected now. We're much more efficient, but the service was if you rewind the clock 15 years, it gold standard compared to what we've got now. And when you say what is the number, well, it depends on the outcome. The less we have, the poorer the outcome is going to be. There isn't a fixed number that says that is the number, but the percentage of unclean streets will keep increasing the more we cut this area. What we're saying with this cut is it will affect our responsiveness, and it will affect our resilience in terms of when people are off sick. We will lose some of the cover. So we will get a higher level of complaints. There isn't a definitive that's the number, because you can always shift it, but it keeps getting a bit worse every time we do. Every time we reduce it, the borough will get a little bit less.
Thank you, Zach. Thank you, Zach. Okay, we're going to move on. I'm going to jump to COM 23, because that's the next speaker. That's Ian Williams, please. COM 23.
Thank you, Chair. That's to do with the 10% reduction in property maintenance.
Yeah.
Could I just seek some clarity on that? Is this 10% all household properties will have a 10% reduction to their maintenance costs. And the other thing which concerns me is on the 20th of the 9th, 2023, Virginia Normal.
Chair, we can't hear very well. I don't know what's happened with the mics, but
Sorry, Nora, I switched it off accidentally.
Did he?
okay, I thought you might have.
Yeah, 10% reduction to council-owned properties. Is it all the properties that we own? And the other one was on the 20th of September 2023, Virginia Indoor Market was closed due to a rack, the discovery of rack in the roof. We were told that within 6 weeks there would be a survey done and it would be taken from there. Has that survey been done? And is there a budget line for the remediation work to reopen the market within the next year's budget?
All right, can I take that,
Can you-
Chair?
yes, yeah.
Yeah, just to be clear, that £1,049,000 that's in that budget, in that line there, is a maintenance budget for all properties. We currently have a £55 million maintenance backlog on our corporate estate and something like 52 million on our roads. So, and that's no different to any other local authority we have. So what we do is we spend £1 million a year on maintaining our properties, and I'm afraid, as part of the savings proposals, we propose to offer up 100,000 of that because we have to get to 2.9 million on that. Bear with me 1 minute on your second question. So with regard to rack at the Roo, we did have a survey that was undertaken on the Market Hall, and we did find out that it was in the most dangerous category. And as you are aware, Councillor Williams, you know what happened next. We evacuated that place, and we have since worked with traders and opened up a new Market Hall in the Roo Centre itself. The likelihood of repairs to that roof are substantial. And what we're currently looking at is whether that is something that the council can afford to put in place. There's been no decisions made on that yet. We're still working on that because, of course, we have a very challenging budget in front of us now. But what we do have is traders who have moved independently to new units who are incredibly happy there and are trading well above expectation. For instance, our lady who makes the Welsh cakes, the Bakestone plate, has traded well above where she is, and she wouldn't want to go back to the indoor market. And our tenants that are in the new Market Hall in the Roo are also very content and are happy with the circumstance there. So what will happen to the Market Hall, the original Market Hall? I'm afraid we don't have an answer to that currently, but I suspect it would be very, very challenging to make a multi-million-pound repair on a building that we don't own in this financial climate. But more of that to come. Thank you.
Councillor Jenkins, please.
Can I just come in there, Chair?
Quickly,
Yeah, with all due respect of Janine, we were told at the when we were informed of the closure that there was going to be a survey done within 6 weeks to determine the cost of whatever work needed doing. Has that survey been done to get an estimated cost of the work that needs doing?
Yeah, the answer is quite simple. A survey was done, and now they're working through the cost of fixing it, and they will be able to give us then a cost. So the survey was done to identify the problems with that roof, and now we have a team engaged that are working through the costings of repairing that roof. But as I have said, Councillor Williams, the market traders now are up and trading and are very comfortable with their new position.
Okay, we're going to move on. Councillor Jenkins, please. You did indicate you want to speak.
Yes, thank you. It's directed again to the obviously the director there. With regards to, could she enlighten me on the system with regards to Bringarrow Park, Bringarrow House, etc.? I know it's Anwen operate out there and it run on a commercial basis as such for weddings, various other things. But has that been sought as an asset to maybe sell on? It was an idea at one time some years ago. Or is it leased and generates an income for us? And the other question is, who is responsible for any maintenance in the grounds and on that building itself?
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, very simple answer to that one, Chair. It's Arwen who release and run that building on behalf of us, and it's not the communities director, I'm afraid. It's Claire in social services. So you'd have to direct that question through to Claire, Councillor.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you very much. Thanks for the answer. Com 24, Councillor Bledsoe, do you want to come in? Okay, thank you. Com 25, Councillor Clark. You put your hand up then, Steve. Is that for this? Com 20. No, you're on mute, do you?
Yeah, sorry,
Right.
sorry,
No, you're not, you're not.
you took me unawares then. Yes, about closing the CRCs one more day within the week. Because I was in a meeting not so long ago where we asked a question about closing on the weekend, and that was definitely a no-no. And yet now we're talking about closing the CRCs one more day, which will be on the weekend, which I mean, it just doesn't make sense to me, because obviously more people are around on the weekend and more people will visit the CRCs. But you know, I'd just be grateful for some feedback on that.
Zach?
I mean, nobody wants to see this one in there, least of all me. You know, we haven't seen the impact of the first day closure, which is about to happen, and all the comms are going live on that this week. You know, yet. So I'll be honest. You know, I'm not looking forward to another day. But we had a target to reach. The save-in for the weekend day closure is a little bit bigger than the save-in for a week in the day closure. Also, we've got to consider, we've got to play fair by the contractor. If we keep closing days in the week, that keeps pushing up the tonnage in the weekend, and you can't actually take most of the material anywhere on a Sunday. So chances are you end up shutting by midday on a Sunday because the site's full anyway. So it makes sense that if you are going to have another day closure, that some of it at least falls on a day where you can't take the material anywhere. But no, it's not a great thing to do. You know, nobody wants to see it in there, but we had a big target to reach, and this is again one of the less palatable savings from my perspective. But nevertheless, you know, has to be put forward.
If I could just come back, Chair, on that.
Quickly then.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, I visit Tithixton site more often on the weekend, but that's a by the by. But there does seem to be quite a number of staff at the site. I know probably for health and safety and all, you know, all those sort of policies that you've got to cover. But you know, should we be looking at less staff at these sites? I mean, mostly we do the stuff ourselves. I mean, we're the ones, you know, when you go up there, we put the stuff in the bins, if you like. So I mean, has that been looked at?
Yeah, so we're now into contractual obligations. The contractors bid to run the sites with the staffing levels that they feel are appropriate and safe. We have within our contractual provisions the ability to turn off days, but we don't have within the contractual scenario the ability to say run it with less staff. And to be honest, I'm not sure I'd want to in terms of the liabilities. And also what we do have, you know, what we're very good at in Bridgend is achieving a high recycling target. And a lot of that high recycling target is not all at the curbside, a lot of it comes from the CRC sites. We have a really high recycling level at our CRC sites. And the staff aren't just there to help, they're to make sure the materials go in the right skips. And we do best a lot of other local authorities throughout Wales in terms of our recycling figures. And that's important because if we don't, especially come 2024, the recycling target is 70%. And for every tonne we're below it, we get fined £200 a tonne. So you could save on staff, then find our recycling figures drop, and we find a load of money which costs more than the saving. So all together, no, I don't think that would be the way to go forward for a number of reasons.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I'm going to come in here to Chair's prerogative. If you look at column 27, there's a saving there of blue bags in 25-26 of 257,000. Now, there's two cuts this year of 125,000 and 33,000 for the day cut of the CR refuse sites, basically. If you brought that 25, 28 for... No, it doesn't work, does it? No, to explain what you know what I'm going to say.
It's the lead-in time on the bags. It's really long. That's why it's in that year. Otherwise, we would have put it into this year.
Okay, okay.
And interestingly, it does mean the decision on it has to be made relatively soon, because if this time next year we're talking about the decision, then you can't achieve the same until the year after. So,
I'm glad you asked the question. No? Okay, thank you. Councillor Bledsoe, please. So, yeah, go, because I didn't see it. I looked at the top, I didn't notice John. Yeah, go on, John. Spanswick, go on, yeah.
No worries. Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Councillor Spanswick. This is another one that I can't get my head around. I have ultimate sympathy for Zach and Janine on this one, because from everything they've just explained, this isn't a decision made on what's best. This is a decision made on a target to hit on what we have to cut. We had a very productive meeting last year in relation to a similar cut that was made on the basis of getting rid of the enforcement team, and we as a committee made a case that that cut shouldn't go ahead. I believe we need to do that with this budget cut here proposed, because I am one of those sad people. I watch meetings I'm not in. I watched the cabinet meeting where the public consultation was read out on the day's closure that has been approved. And I support all of the cabinet members in what they said about the bad language that was included in the consultation. However, the overwhelming feeling in that consultation was that one day a week should not be closed. We're now proposing to cut it for a second day a week on one of the busiest days of the week. I can't support as a councillor within a council proposing this just on the basis of it's the most money that we can save. We have to make decisions on what's right for the community. What I fear is that if we go ahead with this cut, we will see a rise in those commercial waste collectors who aren't licensed, who are dumping and tipping around our community. I believe that people will become more and more desperate to get rid of waste because they can't go to the site when they are able to. We have to remember that people work 5 days a week, mainly Monday to Friday. That site is there in part for the convenience of the residents. If we close it on a weekday, which we've already approved despite public consultation saying it wasn't supported, why on earth are we going to do it on a weekend? And I suppose my question here is, at what point will the cabinet members listen to the public consultation that would have to happen on this and realise that this is a cut that would have a very detrimental effect to our community and our county?
John, please.
Tend to agree with Councillor Bledsoe again. No, we don't welcome any of these cuts, and it was said with the early part of the meeting, we need to have things in there which are feasible and reasonable, and maybe, well, not maybe, this one to implement it from April 1st, which is only a matter of weeks away, when we're about to do the first one, is not really feasible. Well, it's impossible to do the consultation and get it in place to recover 60k. So it still perhaps needs to be looked at, and this is why we're part of the consultation, part of this meeting today, the public consultation, about what is best. But I like to think maybe that still needs to be considered and discussed and talked, but it needs to be, it can't happen this year, 24, 25. But it needs to be slipped to other years. But the one above it, COM24, possibly could happen for April, because the 50k, which would offset by almost by 10k, because I believe we had a waste contractor, new waste contractor ready to go in there April 1st. So maybe that should come forward, the income above, to offset that one and put that back while we discuss further how best we find future savings. Because it's purely put in there to make a saving. I don't think it's anything anybody would want to do.
Which one did you say we could bring forward? Sorry?
Well, it's all part of the conversation, but I think COM24, there's more perhaps chance of recovering some money there from April 1st.
So bring Pandy Dep.
Well, that's what I was led to believe.
Is that the same answer, Zach, we're going to give us? Or
halfway there, agree with the principle. The only issue is we're demolishing a building at the front of Pandy Depot, and whilst we're doing that, access will be restricted, so it'd be difficult to let it for the initial months of the year. But potentially it could probably be dragged like halfway forward, maybe get the first 25 or something more, of that nature. Yeah.
Okay. I was going to got Councillor Jenkins.
Oh, sorry, that was a legacy hand there, but I concur with everything else said. I apologise.
No problem, Phil. Did we do COM25? I think we did. I got Councillor Clark. That's done, I think, isn't it? Well, I don't see any more. COM27, I got Graham Walter on COM27. Almost missed you, Graham. He's left the meeting, is he? Oh well. Anybody? Councillor Bledsoe?
Yes, Chair. On COM26,
sorry, yeah, there's
no. Honestly, I don't envy you, Chair, in this. It's a difficult meeting, Chair. I'm just concerned that somebody like myself may be on social media and I can access this information through means that save the money, but I'm concerned about those within our community who don't. And I want to know what measures the authority will make to make sure that the message gets through to those who don't have access to social media.
I mean, there isn't an easy answer to this. This is removal of that communication stream, and we're not replacing it with another method other than those that already exist. So, yeah, it will be reliant on people to ask their neighbours if they don't know, to ask their family and friends. I always used to, when I'd go around my mum's, she was always losing the calendars and wouldn't know what days, especially if she got more confused as dementia started to set in. But I'd be looking up for her, checking her days and telling her when it's done.
You haven't got dementia not to know what day your refuse collection is.
No. But in all seriousness, it will rely on people being more reliant on themselves, on their neighbours and the communities.
And there's a term for people who know exactly when their bins go out and they put it out and everyone follows them. What are they called? There's a name for them. I can't think of them. Okay. Sorry to interrupt. Councillor Pratt.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. So on COM27, the blue refuse bags. I mean, yes, surely lots of people can afford to buy their own refuse bags. I mean, but I suppose the question is, if the authority bought black refuse bags, does that make any difference in price or anything like that? It's just sort of, I know they're what's the word they're looking for? One, they're blue, which maybe not be a thing, but they've got all the signage on them. So does it make a difference? Or is it a case of starting to buy your own refuse bags? Thank you, Chair.
Can I jump a little question there to addition to that? How do we? The reason we got blue bags is to identify how many bags are out individual properties. That's my understanding. I know it is. Is this going to affect that in some way, or does the colour of the bag make a difference? Why do we have blue bags in the first place? And
it was. I think the actual colour was down to the bidder of the contract at the time. But yeah, the colour doesn't really make a significant difference to cost, and it does slightly, as we were transitioning away from a black bag as many as you want rule to a 2 bag only rule. It was to help identify the 2 bags, but in truth, that's not that hard to do. You can see 2 bags outside one house, you see 2 bags outside one house. The interesting point was, would the sign writing, could we just remove the sign writing only? That probably would give a saving, or I could find out how much, but it's not going to be anything like the order of magnitude that we're looking at there. Yeah.
Did you ask any other question? Because I interrupted you. Was that the only question you asked?
No, just I mean, if you really want to be facetious, what do people do if they haven't got refuse bags? But it's just a case of buying your own bags, really. Thank you, Chair.
You might find lots of little bags outside the house is the problem, but anyway, okay. Councillor Clark, please. So the last
Sorry,
topic.
Chair. Sorry, Chair. I put my hand up, and Zach's explanation, I was happy with, and I can't put it back down. I just can't. I've tried and I can't.
Councillor Melanie Evans, your hand's not stuck up, Melanie, is it?
No, mine's not a legacy, it's another hand, but thank you, Chair. It has been known. No, obviously I'm still listening to debates around a lot of proposed cuts or decisions. And I still can't understand, even if I go back to COM20, how we are measuring the effectiveness of a particular service. What measures, what evidence are we basing the decisions on? And that can go back through to COM20 in the fact with street cleansing. What evidence are we basing the decision on to get rid of another 3? You know, and that's what I need clarifying. Is there stats? What stats are we using? Can we have a look at those stats?
I did think Zach did sort of answer this, I think, but again,
Yeah, can I answer it?
Janine must have a stab at it now, minute.
Yeah, we have a CPA meeting, a corporate performance assessment meeting, Councillor Evans, and we do look at one of the PIs that we look at as a directorate is percentage of street cleaning. I mean, to be quite frank to you, we have £3 million of savings the community directorate has to make. None of these cuts are palatable, because we've got a £20 million budget for the whole council, so we have to make these cuts. So I'm afraid, whilst I'd like to say to you it'll have no impact, I can't do that. This is 3 members of staff and a van. Of course it will impact. Can I spend time working out what that impact will be? I can't, I'm afraid. I don't have the resource to be able to do that. So what we do know is that I have to offer up £2.9 million from the community's budget, which is 10% of my budget, and this will impact on street cleaning. None of these savings in here are easy. This has got more, I mean, over the last 10 years, community's already saved £11.75 million. This is another 3 million. So this is getting to the sharp end now of very, very difficult savings. Of course, we have got a whole plethora of performance indicators where we monitor and measure the effectiveness of our service and monitor service delivery. And that's all part of the PIs. And in the new corporate plan, there are 102 or 103 performance indicators. So we monitor performance all of the time. But in truth, can I tell you the impact on our streets by losing those 3 operatives? I can't. But what I can tell you with some certainty is I'm slurring my words now, is that it will impact on our resilience, 100%, and it will impact on our responsiveness, for sure. But I can't go any further than that with that saving in particular, I'm afraid. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that, Janine. Councillor, and so the last question I'm going to take on this now before the officers and cabinet members leave. Councillor Fred Jenkins, please.
Yes, thank you very much. So I probably missed a bit myself by there, but are we still on the blue refuse sacks, or have we skipped on
We are,
and on?
I think we are actually still on. That's the actual comment.
Because we went back to comms 20.
I know.
I don't know where we're back on that. Sorry,
Com 27, I believe it was.
Still on the blue bags. Well, I'm just wondering again, and I don't expect an immediate answer, but it would be nice for me to know that they have the total savings here, but what is the cost price they actually pay for these type of things? Because like you and I, we all buy black bags or others, and some of the ones we buy at quite reasonable prices are far better quality than the ones that BCBC supply. If they get any thinner, well, I really don't know how they could get any thinner myself. But I'm just wondering, could I get that kind of a figure to see basically not price for one or price per household, because they don't seem to be giving good quality for the amount of money and the households we are supplying. £257,000, I think you got there, is it? You know, it's a lot of money for blue bags that are not of real good value.
Okay.
Councillor Jenkins, that is something that's tendered via our operator. The saving is 100% saving. So the cost of providing those bags for all of our households across the whole authority, 140,000 people live in our authority. How many homes? The cost of providing those bags to the whole of the county is 257,000. So what we are proposing is that we no longer provide those waste sacks to our homes, and we would take the whole saving. So I'm not sure there's any mileage, dare I say, in breaking down the cost per unit. We probably could know that because the intention is not to provide the bags in the future to make that saving. The other thing, of course, for you to be mindful of is that a lot of authorities already don't provide the bags. I live in Cardiff and I don't have bags provided for me. The only bags I have provided in Cardiff are food waste bags, but I certainly don't have any refuse sacks. So I can bring Zach in to give you a bit more information there.
I was going to ask that very question, Janine. Does any other authority? Yeah. Go on,
Can I
Zach.
come back on that just a moment?
Zach,
Oh,
Zach,
sorry, sorry.
Still answering for a minute. So.
Yeah, I'm just going off on a, well, not slight tangent. You raised it. It's not technically financial, but you mentioned about the quality of the bags, and that is something we've been looking at to make sure we're getting the best possible type of bag within the specification that we've got. It's something that other members have raised, and I've got samples of the bags that are currently ordered with the new supplier, and they are a definite improvement. So you will see when the bags land on your doorsteps after April, a bag that I feels definitely a bit more robust than the current one. Obviously, they're not like some Seagull-proof sack. They're within the cost parameters and the spec, but they are definitely a bit more robust. So I'm quite pleased and positive about the sack that's about to be delivered. But based on this saving, I'd say make the most of it because it might be the last one that you have, unfortunately. So.
Could I just ask to be clear what the director said? Is this what the operator charges us, or do we buy them direct and then give them to the operator? Because have you verified that that you could get a better price elsewhere and still offer some kind of reduction on the service?
Yeah, Councillor Jenkins, I think what the saving is we are no longer providing bags, and the saving that we can get from no longer providing bags in the next budget year is 257,000.
Right, I got where you're coming from then. Okay, we've exhausted that. Thank you.
Thank you, Phil. Cheers. Last speaker now then. It was supposed to be Phil, but I'm going to give Martin Williams the last shout.
Thank you, Chair. I won't put my camera on for reasons you know. But COM30, HVO reverting back to diesel for the fleet. I'm very pleased to those in this committee and perhaps in council will know I was never supportive of this. What I would ask, and maybe it could be a recommendation, I would ask that we don't again try and pursue green policies which are clearly not economic. This was never economic. It wasn't going to save the planet, and I'm very glad that common sense has prevailed and we are recommending the removal of this. And on that note, Chair, I have to give my apologies and I have to leave the meeting.
Okay. Right. Where's my sheet gone? There's no further questions. I'd like to thank everybody for turning up this evening. It's quite a bit of a marathon, let's say. And you're free to go. Thank you very much. Thanks for attendance. Oh, hanging up to the toilet, guys, while the room clears.
You getting old, Chair. Thank you. Good night.